Cobra Series, Cobra-Locust-Full Locust-Bow. That's what we're going to tutorial today. Don't go anywhere. Hi everyone, if this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Jimmy Barkan. Been teaching hot yoga since 1981. The Cobra Series. A lot of people think Cobra-Locust-Full Locust-Bow is owned by hot yoga, but it's practiced by other styles of yoga. Shivananda does it. David Collier talks about the sequence in his anatomy book. It's a common back strengthening sequence. We just came off a teacher training program in Fort Lauderdale, Barkan Method Level 1 training. If you're interested in doing a teacher training program with me, either online or in person, there are links in the description below. Apply and see if you qualify. So we're gonna head into the studio in a teacher training program format and go over from beginning to advanced these 4 poses. So let's go over and get started. So here we are at the Barkan Method Level 1 teacher training program, and this is the Cobra Series. As you can see, we're doing an in-person and online training going on simultaneously. First, going to start with the Cobra Pose or Bhujangasana with the lovely assist of Lillian. She's going to start by bringing her hands right underneath the shoulders. So your hands would be completely outlined by the shoulder. Little fingers on the outside edge, tips of the fingers front part edge. So if I looked over your shoulder, I wouldn't be able to see your hands. And your fingers are completely together. Don't spread them. Spreading would be a modification. The inner thighs are going to rotate in toward each other in an inner spiral, feet together. She's going to take a deep breath in and slowly come up just to the belly button, just to the navel. Her shoulders are going to drop as her elbows drop down to the waist. That's going to drop the shoulders. She's going to lift from her chest. And I like the back and the neck vertebra in line. Because if you bring your head all the way back, bring your head back for a second, Lily. That's what they do in the Bikram world. And that creates more of a back bend, but I think it's a little bit of a pressure on the neck, so bring it forward a little bit to keep the back and neck in line. Inner thighs are in. And if I were just to hold her feet, now she can lift her hands off the floor and have the support. Now bring your hands back down and lower down slowly. Turn your head to the side, but make sure your fingers stay together, not spread out. And that's the Cobra Pose. So any questions about the Cobra Pose?
I thought that we had to open our hands and fingers in order to give, allow the lengthening of the spine to happen.
Yeah, so when your fingers are spread apart, what happens is you're using too much arms. We want 80% of the strength to come from the legs. That would be, like I said before, a modification, because you don't want too much energy or strength in your arms. We want to keep it in the strength in the back by strengthening the legs. So the fingers together, which is definitely different than other styles of yoga, lends to a lot more strength in the legs, not so much the arms. Make sense?
Yes.
So the next pose is the Locust or Salavasana. We're going to place our arms in between the hip points. I'm going to have Lily show you what I mean. She's going to lift herself up so you can see what her arms look like. All the way. If you can get your arms far in between the hip points, you're going to take a lot of pressure off the elbow. Even though as a beginner, you're really going to feel it in your elbows at first, or maybe your wrists. But as much as you can get them underneath, that's going to give you the leverage. Now she's going to come down. You're going to grab the floor with the fingertips and think about reaching your fingers down towards your feet. So you're like suction cups. You're holding the floor with your fingertips. Chin on the floor, look forward, and she's going to bring her right leg up just to a 45-degree angle where the shoulder, hip, knee, ankle, foot are in the same line. And then lowers down. And that's the position for the one-legged. Now, you might not be able to get your leg up right away. So you can maybe bring it up a little bit. And each day you're going to work a little higher and a little higher. Now, let's say you can't, you got too much pressure on your elbows. So bring your leg down for a second, Lily. You can bring your arms out to the side and do it that way. Maybe one set. But the second set, bring your arms back underneath so you can start working out whatever calcium deposits you may have that's causing that irritation or discomfort in your elbow. So you may not be able to get the leg up as high, but if you get them underneath, then you're going to be able to get, at least to start to train this area in a very short period of time, you're going to be able to get that leg all the way up. Now for 2 legs, we're gonna make sure our arms are all the way underneath. So do that again. You may want to readjust, get them underneath there. Now we're gonna change the head and neck position. The mouth's on the floor. Hold the core. Take a deep breath in, and slowly your legs are gonna come up. Now you can separate them a little bit at first. By separating them a little bit at first, it's gonna give you a little more room, a little more range of motion. Then bring the feet together, eventually 45 degrees, and lower down slowly. Once again, using those hands as suction cups. And that's the locust pose. So any questions about this pose?
I have a question.
Yes.
So when I try to get my hands underneath my body, my elbows bother me.
So it's still irritating. Right. So that's a very common thing, especially if you're a tennis player or a racquetball player. That's a really common issue. So like I said before, you're better off getting your arms as much as you can underneath, and just don't lift your legs up as far. Maybe you go an inch for a second. If that's all you can do, then that's it. That's your starting point. The next day you're going to go 2 inches in 2 seconds. 2.5 inches, 2.5 seconds. So 2.5 seconds. So that you're always slowly working to improve, but just don't worry about getting them all the way up there or holding it for the whole time, because this way you're still working on getting rid of the deposits in the elbows. So yeah, it's going to be hard at first, but you're going to see an improvement pretty quick in this pose. It's like a miraculous pose, especially if you have tennis elbow or any kind of funky shoulders. It's a great pose for it. Any other questions about this pose?
What would you say the difference is between being on your chin and on your face?
So when you're doing both legs, that's why we want to go from the chin to the mouth, and that's going to take the pressure off the neck. If your chin is up and you're doing both legs, it's going to compress the neck. Does that make sense? So your mouth is on the floor, your spine and your back vertebrae are in line, and that's going to take all the pressure off the neck, which is really important. You got to protect yourself in this pose. The next pose is full locust, or Purna Salavasana. So ladies can bring our arms out to the side like an airplane. You're going to time the breath. It's really important to time the breath in this pose. So you're going to let all the breath go. Take a deep breath in and slowly lift up as high as you can. Getting the arms back in a 45-degree angle, and the fingertips are going to line up with the top of the head. Now, if you bring your legs up too high, what's going to happen? Like a seesaw, it's going to force your body down. So don't bring your legs too high at first. Let's get the upper body up as high as you can, and only bring the legs up when you get to a much higher position. When you get under your points, then you can start bringing your legs up higher. Little bits of exhale, and slowly lower down to that position. So remember, it's like a seesaw. Too much legs is going to bring your body down. So just a little bit, you're still bringing them off the ground, but get that chest up. And it's these lat muscles here, latissimus dorsi muscles, that we're strengthening for this pose. Any questions on full locust?
Jimmy, I have a question.
Yes, Louisa.
I thought that we're supposed to have our arms straight, like a 45-degree angle. What is the reason for that?
So the 45-degree angle is going to get the lat muscles working more. If your arms are straight out to the side, you're almost working your shoulders. Does that make sense? When you're 45 degrees, you're getting these lat muscles, the biggest muscles in the back, working. That's the whole idea of this pose, to give you better posture and get those lat muscles strengthening. Okay, the last of the 4 poses, the bow, or Dhanurasana. She's going to bend her knees up, grab a hold of the feet from the outside. And this is a higher grip than the standing bow. When we did the standing bow tutorial in this video, I had the grip a little bit lower, where the top of the foot and the ankle meet. You can see she's higher here, because if you hold too low, then you're going to bypass the hip flexor motion. So we're going to go top of the foot. Knees a little closer in the beginning, and slowly she's going to come up as her head now can come all the way back, unlike the Cobra pose. Stay on the lower abdomen. We want the wrist to be straight, so we got wrist and forearms and elbows all the way to the shoulder. That's a straight line back. As she looks up to the ceiling, little bits of exhale like we talked about in the intro, kicking all the way up to your full position, and then lowering down slowly. So go to your starting point, find the next inch, find the next level. There it is. Now the second grip that we use in the Barkan method, Lou's going to bend her knees up, she's going to slide her thumb on the inside So let's take the hand out for a second so you can see inside, right where the thumb and the other toe are. And then you're gonna grab a hold with the rest of the hand, both sides. Now we change the grip. We're gonna change the position that the posture of the back, the position of the back, the posture is targeting. Just take a deep breath in, same thing. Gonna make sure that the feet, come on up, the feet are gonna be in the same line with your shoulders. You don't want the feet to go too far out, which is a common thing for both bows. Same line with your shoulders, head back. As she kicks up, as high as she can, stays on the lower abdomen, so she should be right there. And that's that full position, and that's bends the whole spine. This is a great pose. Come on down. Relax. In reverse Shavasana, arms by your side. Any questions on the bow?
I do. When I do this pose, I have pain in my knee.
Yeah, what you want to do is play with the position of where your knee is. So you may want to bring your legs a little more out, you may want to bring your knees a little bit more in, and you may want to kick a little bit less. The last thing you want to do is mess with the knees. My teacher used to say you can mess with the god and goddesses, never mess with the knees. So if your knees are a discomfort, bring them out a little bit, bring them in a little bit, play with the angle. And maybe don't kick up as high, but you got to protect your knee. That's really important. And Lily, you had a question too about this one?
Well, I find that my thighs cramp when I'm doing
That's
this.
a real common thing. In any of these poses, sometimes the thigh will cramp, or maybe when you're sleeping at night you get a cramp. All you want to do, because it's just a contraction of the muscle, so all you want to do is do a dorsiflexion of the foot. So you're going to get the toes to come back towards your face. Keep your leg straight. No, you're doing the opposite. Straighten your leg and flex the foot. Flex it. Now you're stretching the back of the leg. And if let's say you're sleeping at night and you get a cramp, just flex your foot back towards your face and just hold it. It's still gonna cramp, it's gonna hurt. Hold it as long as you can, stretch out that cramp because you're taking the foot the other direction. But that's a very common thing. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Cobra-Locust-Full Locust-Bow, the Cobra Series. Thank you so much. So that's our episode for today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Any questions, any struggles that you have with these 4 poses, put them in the comments. I get to all the comments. And I will see you the next video. Bye, everyone.